What's up, man? We chilling tonight. Hey. I need to feel tonight, man. Hey, man, where my radio, man? Yeah. I need you to turn that up. Jamming tonight. Turn on the radio. You and I turn on the radio. Yeah. Yeah. Turn on the radio. You and I turn on the radio.
Pull the way up like we in a club. Fly flashy, grown classy, so turn it to dub. Saturday mornings, no walk of shame, we fresh up. 950 lounge, that's my guilty pleasure. I don't miss my favorite show, I put everything on hold. Work the baby, even the babysitter know. When 950 come on, don't bother. I'm locked in 10 to 1, no problem.
Turn on the radio. You and I turn on the radio. Yeah. Turn on the radio. You and I turn on the radio. We're going to take it a little bit different today because we have a guest that's got some really important matters to deal with, and I want to get her on mic so she can take care of that. She is the president and founder of the African American Women in Cinema organization, and she's here to talk about some things she's got going on, some interesting events in New York and beyond that I think you should be interested in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 950 Lounge, the super talented Terra Renee. How are you? Good morning, honey.
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. You beat me here. So that when the guest can beat me to the studio, then I know it's doing something well. But I know you're short on time, so we're gonna get right into it. We just heard here in New York. I know we're a national show. We just heard in New York yesterday, a young boy got shot in the playground. 16-year-old playing basketball, innocent stuff. I think about my own nephew and even the things I did as a child. Your organization and the things you're doing are fighting that. Please elaborate on that for us.
Well, that's I really appreciate you saying that because today is the launch of the African American Women in Cinema Anti-Gun Violence Tour. This was birthed from a program that we did at our 20th film festival this year in March, honoring Women's History Month. And we are a women organization who have children, and we're concerned about our next generation. And to see young kids being, taken out like flies, we wanted to lend a voice to keep the awareness going, and whatever we can do to deal with this issue, that's what we're going to do. So the tour is launching today in Queens at New Greater Bethel Ministries, and then we're going to Chicago, we're going to Florida, we're going to St. Louis, and we're going to end it, actually we're going to Baltimore, Maryland, and then we're going to end it in Brooklyn with President Eric Adams.
Without question. Now, and I'm sure, I just met you, but I'm sure that was done strategically because all the cities you mentioned are dealing with heavy black on black crime. So from that standpoint, it's definitely needed. Go ahead, Judge.
No, I'm saying the cities that you mentioned are all heavy gun violent cities. What are your plans as you go through city to city? Are you bringing young people in? Are you trying to get guns to even come in, turn them in? What is the plans for the movement?
Well, what we're doing is both, it's all of that. So how we're going to do it, because my thing is, not to talk so much, but what are we doing?
Right.
We understand what the issues are, and we're going to actually engage the community in even a deeper dialogue. And then come up with some practical applications that we can do to apply to this issue. So if it means petitions, if it means going to the elected officials and pressing for legislation, whatever we need to do, we're going to come as a community to do it. So the way that the program is set up is that we're going to actually show films on the topic.
Okay.
And then we're going to have a Q&A with the audience, and also gun violence survivors, elected officials, community leaders, and then we're going to deal with this matter.
You've been in the film business over 20 years, accomplished. I mean, the list of names I see, the Bill McCrary, just list of names. And I grew up in the 80s and 90s when we made movies about neighborhoods of chaos, but had a solution. Spike Lee's, John Singleton's. The crime and the trauma wasn't any different, but there was like, listen, it's a ray of sunshine. I see a lot of things down in the day of internet and digital, where a lot of web series, and I see like, okay, I see the same doom and gloom, but I don't see any out the hole. It's like, okay, it's going to stay dark forever, and I don't know if that's. And I want to ask you that question. I don't know if that's because these young people just don't see out, or it's that they don't necessarily want to out. I mean, from a cinema person's perspective, what is your thoughts on that?
You know, I think it's a mixture of both. We started over 20 years ago due to the lack of opportunities of women in color in entertainment.
Right.
I did not know the level of racism that existed in the industry. What prompted this knowledge, this insight, was I got called for an audition for a Warner Brothers film, and they were looking for a tall African-American woman who was not a size 0. When I got to the location, saw about 1,000 women of color fit the bill, I was shocked.
Yeah.
So African-American Women in Cinema was birthed as a solution to the lack issue. And so what we do is we provide a platform for women of color filmmakers to show their works, to get connected in the industry. So in saying all that, that is our way of dealing with what you just brought up, you know, having an alternative.
Right.
And I think with the young people today, because media is a very strong medium.
Extreme, yes.
And if they can see that there is another alternative outside of, well, this is how I'm going to deal with you, I'm going to just take you out.
Yeah.
I think that we can win some of them over. We may not get them all, but if they can see that there is a ray of hope, then that's what we want to project.
We're talking to Terra Renee, again, president and founder of African American Women in Cinema. And it's funny you say that, because last week we were invited in Philadelphia to Women in Media event.
Oh, great.
And I definitely will plug you to those ladies, those fine ladies out there. And again, it was kind of the same situation. And as an African American male who was raised by a single African American mother, me and my brother and sister, I respect the fact that unfortunately, a lot of times especially in our community, the mother is the father, the mother, the uncle, the auntie, his everything. And while I think as men we need to step our game up, because it shouldn't be that. It wasn't designed to be that way. It's important to have those images, not just for the women, but for the men. The music, the misogyny, certain things that we hear, I think, because a lot of young kids and even adults mistreat African American women because they just feel that it's just hip. So when you see those images, it projects, no, that's not the right way to do it. There is a better way.
That is correct.
There's a better way.
That is correct. And that's our whole goal in the whole organization, just showing that there is an alternative way. There is a positivity outlet that can be utilized, and we're not just pigeonholed to negativity.
Without question. Now you have another event happening, I believe, with a certain president's kin, and I will let you explain that.
Thank you. I have the very privilege and fortune, just very honored to chair a benefit for Mama Sarah Obama, who is the grandmother of President Barack Obama. We saw his visit to Kenya in July, and she's 96 years young, and she was dancing with the president. So
she's doing the Harlem Shake, huh?
So that's taking place September the 28th in Harlem.
Nice.
At the Antigua Barbuda Progressive Society. And we're going to have the keynote speaker, who is his uncle, Mr. Saeed Obama.
Wow.
So we're super excited. Very historical program. There'll be performances. There'll be remarks by dignitaries there. And then we're going to follow up with a soiree afterwards. But this is history in the making.
Now the question on my mind is he gonna be there, or you can't? Or that's
he's got some free time.
I mean, he's got some time. I mean, him or Michelle, just swoop in and swoop right back.
Come see my kinfolk.
Just come say hello. What's up, Uncle?
I cannot say I'm under.
I understand. I know.
Of course.
Yeah, I know. Don't say
it,
but we know. We get it.
He come with a posse, so we don't need no problems.
No problems.
No problem.
here.
And them storming up this building.
We like it just the way we are, nice and cozy. We good.
But what's so heartwarming, I mean, if God allowed me to live to be 96 years old,
Yes.
let me too have the energy
Yes.
to build the school for the next generation. So that way I know when I make my transition, I know that what I've done, the seeds that I've planted will affect generations to
Yes,
come.
ma'am.
Now I have a question for you. What's the progression from when you started doing movies till now? It's not even the black woman. We'll just say women in general in movies. What is the progression that you've seen? Is it enough? Is it too little? And the reason why I ask is because you know, we got the whole Monique situation and other actresses and other actors, male actors still getting paid absorbent amounts of money. Women actresses not getting even close to what their counterparts are making and still making great performances. Where do you see it going right now?
You know, when we started over 20 years ago, because I didn't realize it was such a major issue.
Right.
And so it prompted me to do a research. So I looked at the unions and saw the figures of women getting jobs, like you said, just women.
Right.
So when I saw numbers like 0.06%. Now, back in the day, in order to make a film, it was a humongous process. You had to get film from Kodak, you had to get a camera with the film, you had to get extra sound, then you had a steam back, you have to splice them together, all that, thousands and thousands of dollars. And then once you did that, was no guarantee that you were going to get distribution.
Right.
So then it was that. So because of that process, I think it was maybe one or two women of color maybe got a directorial job in the studio system. 1989 was a breakthrough for a young woman of color filmmaker. She did the film called A Dry White Season. Now, fast forward, because of the technology and making things accessible, it's almost kind of evening out the playing ground to a certain degree. And those who were in power in the studios back in the day, they're dying out. And the younger ones are taking on, and they're seeing the power in diversity. It's a slow progression, but it's getting there. You know, they say, oh, Tyler Perry, wow, that makes a lot of money. No. So, and then now, you know, when you make a film, you can make a film on your phone, and you can put it on a YouTube channel, and you can drive traffic. Now, if you get a lot of numbers, guess who's calling you? You know, so there have been a serious progression, but we still have a long way to go, because I can name maybe about 2 or 3 women of color who have studio deals with the Hollywood system in 2018.
The journey's not over. Listen, you got to come back.
Okay.
I know you got to get out of here, and because we can keep going.
It's easy.
So, again, the African American Women in Cinema Anti-Gun Violence Tour starts today. You listen to the show live September 22nd. Greater Bethel Ministries, 215-32 Jamaica Avenue. We'll be in Jamaica very soon. Queens, New York. Again, if you want to reach out, people want to reach out to you.
They can email us at info@aawic.org. They can also go to our website, which is aawic.org.
Terra Renee, thank you so much. Whatever non-50 can do to help, please let us know.
Okay.
We would love to support what you got going on from a media standpoint. And again, continue fighting. You know, we're here for you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Without question.
Thank
Terra
you.
Renee, President and founder of African American Women in Ministry Organization.
Yo, can I get it in the morning? Every Saturday I be up, know your name.